So just so you understand, am I walking too much? She's
No,
gonna
you're
film
fine.
this. Because there's only a few of you here because it's a makeup night. We just want to make sure you guys understand what we're trying to do with that league. So the purpose of the league is to give kids that aren't ready to make a full commitment like to a club team to have another place to play, lower commitment level, lower cost, lower time commitment. So it's twice a week, an hour and a half on a Monday and a Friday. So our goal with it is to build a foundation of skills through skills training, but also because it's such a short time, we also want to have fun and play for like 30 minutes. So the template is 15 minutes of warm-up, 45 minutes of skills training, and 30 minutes of play. So when you play in the full game of volleyball 6-on-6, the indoor game, that's 12 people, one ball. Not very many contacts. If you've ever watched any school ball, particularly, it's not the best spectator sport. There's not a lot of rallies. We like to say they use our equipment, but that's not our game. Volleyball has to have a volley in it. The volley being going back and forth across the net. But so many of the junior high type of volleyball games are you serve in and get a point, or you miss your serve and they get a point. And it's pretty boring. So what we try to do is shrink the game down so that you have fewer players on each side. So if we do 2 versus 2, or 3 versus 3, or even 4 versus 4, the number of ball contacts increases significantly. And we'll also do things like lower the net, shrink the size of the court, just to have a better chance of having rallies. So the skills training will last about 45 minutes. The drills that we do are what we call drills with an environment-forced outcome. So there are feedbacks, there's feedback that's occurring, this external feedback, but a lot of the feedback is intrinsic feedback. It's feedback that the kids get themselves because they know what they want to do. And so they want to make the ball go from here to there, and it's going over there. And so they might get a little external feedback from a coach to give them some things to think about, but the majority of the feedback that they're using to get better is the feedback that's intrinsic. They know that the ball went here instead of there, and therefore they need to do something different with their platform, for example, to make the ball go where they want it to go. The most important thing is ball contacts. So we want to increase the numbers of ball contacts, less talking, more doing. So when you see our format, you see lots of contacts that aren't good. We also know that skill is myelin in your brain that insulates neural pathways. So we know what stimulates myelin. It starts with a high level of interest and lots of trial and error. If we maximize the trials and hopefully maintain a high level of interest, then the skill acquisition accelerates significantly. We know what creates an environment for myelin production, and that's struggle, failure. So if we slow everything down and minimize the numbers of contacts so that their success rate is really high, they're only repeating a skill they've already acquired. So if they're successful 85–90% of the time, it's not a great environment to stimulate new skill. So our goal is to keep the success rate between 50 and 85%. So 50 and 80%. So somewhere around 65% success is our goal. So that doesn't look very good. It's pretty sloppy. But in that sloppiness and in the struggle is what stimulates the skill, the myelin in their brain. So even though the period is only 90 minutes, we feel like we can balance the skill acquisition period of 45 minutes with fun of 30 minutes, and we need to spend about 15 minutes just getting them warmed up so they don't pull a muscle or whatever. When we go to the tournaments, we're going to do two tournaments in AVL. We've been going with 6-on-6. We are done with the 6-on-6. I know the kids, they talked us into doing it, and the parents of the kids, because they like it, they know that that's what real volleyball looks like, but it's just not helping them. We are going to run a 4-on-4 tournament format instead. They're going to get a lot more contacts every time they have a tournament. So we'll have small courts, a lot of kids in one, a small space. It's easier to get to the ball. We don't have as far to run, and you're going to get a lot more contacts. So we believe in the long run, they're going to get much more skill when they're done after 16 sessions and 2 tournaments than if we did a 6-on-6 tournament. So we have to kind of talk them into it. We have to talk you into it so that you know it's supposed to look like 6-on-6. It's supposed to take the whole court, but it's just not good for them. And honestly, it's not that much fun to watch. It'll be more fun to watch because, with a smaller game because they're going to start to become more successful and you'll see better rallies and more touches. The other thing that we're going to do is we're going to actually form teams after the first week. Our attendance rate is variable. It varies a lot. And part of the benefit of this type of program is that you can do a lot of other things. And it isn't an 8-month or 7-month commitment like club is. And so kids are doing a lot of other things, and there's a lot of conflicts. But we think that if we form teams right away, they might be more inclined to show up because they don't want to let their teammates down. So what we'll have is we'll have teams of 6, even though we're going to play with 4. And we'll put 2 teams on a court, and there'll probably be 9 or 10 kids at every practice on per half court, which is how we run our club, 9 or 10 per half court. So our drills are all designed for that size, so 2 teams will basically train together with 1 coach, and 2 teams on the other side with 1 coach. So that's the same format we use in our club. So those are the changes in the AVL going forward, and I think we have 1 more session in the spring, and then we start again in the fall. Over the summer, we run full camps all day long. So we run 6-hour camps in the daytime, 3 hours, 9 to noon, and we take an hour off for lunch, and then we run another session 1 to 4, and then we have a different camp in the evening. And so the camps run 4 days. So if you do a day camp, it's 6 hours, 4 times, so it's 24 hours total. If you do an evening camp, it's 3 hours, 4 days, 12 hours total. The evening camps tend to be a little more specialized, and the day camps tend to be a little more general. The summertime is booked every single day with camp, so we don't run AVL in the summer. So, any questions from any of you? We just thought we'd better talk to you guys ahead of time for the next session so you know what we're doing. So when you see it, you're not like, what is this? I thought it was a regular tournament.